Peace, good vibes, and thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel. My name is Shunda, and I appreciate you stopping by to check out this video. And if you are not a subscriber and you like what you see, please make sure that you subscribe and share the video. Now, before we get started, I wanted to say that today I came across this YouTube channel. I want to say Spirit led me to come across this YouTube channel. A lovely sister by the name of Blaque Witch YaYa. And she has some very interesting stories on her YouTube channel that she likes to share. I found it to be very informative, very interesting. So when you get a chance, if you haven't already, if you're not subscribed to her, please subscribe to her. I subscribed to her on today, and I'm glad that I was led to her channel. So shout out to Blaque Witch YaYa. Okay, and I often don't do that often, so I believe that I am being led by Spirit. So if you are a spiritualist, if you're into spiritualism, spirituality, African spirituality, this is definitely the channel for you. This channel, as well as Blaque Witch YaYa's channel. So I want to put that out there, because if you come across this video and you're not into that, then you may not want to delve into that. But if you're interested and you want to learn more about African spirituality, that's the place to go. All right, so today we want to talk about the solar flares and how it may affect the internet. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this. A lot of people aren't familiar with this topic or this subject, but I could be wrong, because I haven't seen any videos about it, but there probably are videos, but I haven't come across them as of yet. So it's a possibility that I may come across someone else speaking on this topic or this subject of solar flares. So I got this information from Yahoo News. I'm going to try to break it down as best as I can and as best as I know how. Of course, my mom always keeps me abreast, because she stays up on these solar flares and the solar flare activities, because she read up on the Carrington event back in the 1800s, I believe. And ever since she read about that, and it's been in the news about solar flares and how it can affect our daily lives, she has really been on it. And so she shares this information with me. So I'm here to kind of enlighten you and share it with you as well, if you hadn't heard already. And if you know anything about it, that any points or anything that I'm missing, please feel free to share them in the comment section. All right, so this is on Yahoo News. And this article was posted on Wednesday, June 28th. And it is by Lee Cohen. And it says, "Is the internet apocalypse coming?" And I posed this question on social media, on Facebook. What would you do if, you lost internet connection? Would you be able to function? Would you be able to survive? So with me, I'm a Generation Xer. So I grew up without internet access. I didn't get a computer until maybe, until I was like in college, really. So, that's how expensive computers were back then, and we were, kind of struggling at that time financially. So we really my mom couldn't really afford a computer for me when I was younger. And plus, with the fact that the internet back in the 80s, really wasn't really popular. It wasn't popping back then, because it wasn't even around. So we didn't have that, during my era of growing up. But the 90s, I think, is when the internet kind of started popping. But anyway, let's get into this article. So it says, "Fears are brewing that an apocalypse is coming, but instead of burning buildings and utter chaos, there's a months-long global internet blackout. The concern comes amid recent solar storm data that has emerged, but Is the current activity on the sun really enough to cause what's been dubbed the internet apocalypse? So, if you don't know what solar flares are, I'm going to give you my definition of solar flare. Then we're going to look up the word solar flare. And we're going to give the internet definition of a solar flare. So basically, a solar flare is flares that are emitting from the sun. So solar flares has everything to do with solar power, and from the energy of the sun. So the sun's energy is spewing out these electromagnetic what's the word I'm looking for? The spewing out these electromagnetic bursts or energy bursts that are emitting from the sun, and it is coming down to the earth, and it could wreak havoc on the earth. So that's my definition. So let's check out what this definition has. First, we'll look at Wikipedia's definition. So a solar flare is an intense localized eruption of electromagnetic radiation in the sun's atmosphere. Flares occur in active regions and are often, but not always, accompanied by coronal mass ejections, solar particle events, and other solar phenomena. The occurrence of solar flares varies within the 11-year solar cycle. So when we talk about coronal mass ejections, so that's when I think it's like a major solar storm that's going on and that's happening. It doesn't have to happen just in one setting. So what I mean by that, it may not happen here in South Carolina. It may happen in California. It may happen in New York, where they'll experience a solar flare eruption, but it won't affect the whole world. But there is a possibility that a solar flare eruption could affect the entire globe. So that's the one I think that has scientists more worried and more concerned. And also with solar flares comes the auroras, or the the borealis. I've also heard that solar flares can cause those beautiful colors in the sky. So let's get into what is a coronal mass ejection. And I'm going to share that with you. So, a coronal mass ejection is an event in which a large cloud of energetic and highly magnetized plasma erupts from the solar corona into space, causing radio and magnetic disturbances on Earth. Now, that's the one that has many people that have been reading up on this and studying this, that has them mainly concerned, because if we experience, or if we have a coronal mass ejection here, it can disrupt the electronics. So we're talking your radio, computer, television, anything that is electrical, anything that's electronic. It could affect that in your electricity, your lights. So in simple terms, let's look at it in simple terms, because I like to use layman terms because it's easier to understand, because all the scientific jargon sometimes is even hard for me to fathom and for me to grasp onto, but I try. So, coronal mass ejection, also known as CMEs, is a large explosions of plasma and magnetic field from the sun's corona. So, if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm wrong, please forgive me. Please look this information up for yourselves. So that's why I always say, don't take my word for it. Always do your own research. Always. So with a CME, then with the sun's coronal field, or the magnetic field from the sun's corona. I think that is the eye of the sun, so to speak. It's right in the middle of the sun. So like I said, do your own research and ask the question, will a CME hit Earth? I don't know. Will it? Let's see. A CME will only impact Earth when it occurs on the side of the sun that faces us. So it says, solar material streams out through the interplanetary medium, impacting any planet or spacecraft in its path. A CME cloud can also erupt from the sun in any direction. So therefore, if the sun is facing the earth, or if the sun is facing us, then it is a possibility that a CME can hit the earth. And if you want to learn more about CMEs, you can go to www.swpc.noaa, that's NOAA.gov. www.swpc.noaa.gov if you want to learn more about that. All right, so let's get back to the article. Videos have been making the rounds on social media claiming that this apocalypse is on its way. One video, which has amassed more than 4 million views on TikTok, claims that a solar storm could cause such an event to happen within a decade, so within 10 years. So that's another thing that I wanted to share with you. We do not know the exact day, date, time, when this may occur, or if it will occur within our lifetime. Now, it is a possibility that a solar flare could happen during our lifetime. It is a possibility that it may not happen. So we just don't know, but it is always a good thing, and it's always great to be prepared just in case. So I definitely want to find out about that TikTok video. Let's see, internet apocalypse. I don't want to really.
The internet apocalypse is approaching us, an event that could cause people to lose internet access for months or even years. Scientists have warned about the potential impact of an upcoming solar storm, commonly referred to as an internet apocalypse, which could strike within the next decade. Solar wind consists can make satellites unstable and not work properly. But what would happen if the internet suddenly stops working? Without the internet, the global economy would completely collapse in a matter of months, if not days or even hours, and technology would suffer greatly. In short, it would have severe consequences. We could actually die. I'm just kidding. But still.
Okay, and that was from the TikTok video. And I found this link on the Yahoo News article by Lee Cohen. And once again, that news article is the internet apocalypse coming? And you can find that on Yahoo News. I guess it's in association with CBS News, but it's also on you. But this article is posted on Yahoo News, and I guess you could go to CBS as well. I don't like you said, I don't really think you would die from a solar flare or a CME. But you do have to be prepared. I'm going to tell you a little later on how you can kind of ready yourself for that. All right, moving on. Despite the trending claims, such an event that is thought to only occur once every half millennium. Here's what's actually happening with the sun and how it can impact communications on Earth. So what is an internet apocalypse? I can tell you right now from just the title, or just the question that it's asked, or that's being asked. What is an internet apocalypse? It's when all internet connection shuts down. So while many have attributed the internet apocalypse phrasing to NASA directly, It appears as though it has actually stemmed from a 2021 paper about solar storm impacts presented by a University of California researcher. In the paper, the researcher looked at solar superstorm that can potentially cause large-scale internet outages covering the entire globe and lasting several months. And if you are a video game lover, you're going to have to say goodbye to the video games for a few months. You're going to have to say goodbye to the internet for a few months. Hopefully, not even longer than that, because our daily lives depend upon social media, depend upon the internet. Well, especially if you are an influencer, that's how you make your money. So, through internet services. So, it's always best to, you know, have another way of surviving financially and not just depending solely on the internet. Basically, but I don't really know how that would fare, how that would work out if we lose internet connection, because during 2020 with the C19, a lot of us were blessed and we were able to stay home and we were able to work from home, which I loved. The earth began to heal itself because there wasn't any exhaustion from cars. People weren't out in the streets littering. You know, businesses were shut down. A lot of businesses shut down, so people were able to work from home. But thankfully, we never lost our ability to connect socially through the internet. Now, if this were to happen, this would be a different story. We wouldn't even, if your job depended solely on internet, social media, anything dealing with computers, I wouldn't even know what to tell you or how to begin, because I guess, that's why it's a good thing and a good idea to always have a backup plan when it comes to certain things like this, because if you lose internet connection, a lot of businesses, a lot of big time companies depend solely on electronics and their computers. So it would be a very interesting time to see how that would play out. But such solar storms are one of the greatest dangers facing the internet. The paper says that's because of coronal mass ejections. The paper says, which can create magnetically induced currents that, at significant strengths, could potentially enter and damage long-distance cables that constitute the backbone of the internet. Now, one of the things that I've just recently found out, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I found out that the actual hub for the internet itself, the cables run underwater. They're like in the ocean. And that's where the cables for the internet run through. That's amazing to me. And now I've got to do a story on that. And that'll probably be my next video, because I want to learn more about that. How can cables underwater, control our internet access? That would be very interesting. Citing past research from scientists, the paper determined that the probability of an extreme space weather event having a direct impact on Earth is between 1.6% to 12% every decade or every 10 years. But because recent solar cycles have placed the sun in a state of low activity, it's believed that activity could be increasing. So, what's currently happening on the sun? The sun has been in solar cycle 25 since December 2019. meaning its 25th 11-year cycle since record keeping began in 1755. At the beginning of the current cycle, the National Weather Service predicted that the peak sunspot activity would happen in 2025, with the overall activity of the cycle being fairly weak. But earlier this month, researchers determined that the cycle has ramped up much faster than what was originally predicted, with more sunspots and eruptions than experts had forecast. So the sun is active now. So that's how we would look at it, and that's how we would describe it. The sun is very active now. Now, why is that? Now, this is just my opinion. I think that the sun is active and it's ramping up because this is its natural state. This is just what the sun does. And also, I think that a lot of people are waking up spiritually, and as above, so below. So I'm thinking, from a spiritual standpoint and from a spiritual aspect, the more people wake up, the more the sun becomes active. Now, that may sound crazy. I don't know. But that's just my conjecture. That's just my thinking. You know what I'm saying? As more and more people become conscious, as more and more people become more aware of their surroundings and things that are going on within science, within space, the sun is reacting, and it's a reactive, and it's reacting to the people that are, no longer subscribing to the what we would call the norms of society. So a lot more people are thinking for themselves. They're thinking outside of the box, and they're not just depending upon news information, but they're listening to it, and then they're doing their own research themselves, because that's what I think that is important, and that's something that we all should do. Research for ourselves and research on our own. So I'm not going to finish out the rest of the article because the article is pretty lengthy, but I think that I've given you a wealth of information so far. Just only a little bit left of the paragraphs, maybe 4 or 5 paragraphs left. But if you want to read it for yourselves, which I suggest, it is on Yahoo News, and it is titled, "Is the Internet Apocalypse Coming?" We don't know, so we will just have to wait and see what will happen and what's what. So I don't want to leave you just yet, but I want to check this article out. I saw that it was interesting, but before I get into that, I wanted to share a little bit about what happened with the submersible. I know everybody's been talking about it. Everybody's heard about it. And, it was a very sad situation, very unfortunate that people lost their lives. But there have been a lot of conspiracy theories going around and a lot of talks going around. And one that was interesting to me was the fact that some of these particular billionaires that were on the submersible, they were against the coming digital currency that was about to be put into place. But, that's just hearsay. We don't know for certain. We don't know for real. So I just wanted to put that out there a little bit, let you think about it, do your own research. Don't want to delve into the conspiracy theory of that right now. But definitely there are a lot of things that are happening and going on, and some people say that they use that as a distraction, but I'm here to say that everything is not a distraction. So I just want to put that out there. I think it's important that we listen and that we pay attention to everything that is going on around us, whether we believe it or not, whether we delve into it deeper or not. It's just good to be in the know. It's just good to know that you know. You know what I'm saying? And then the more that we know, the more we find out that we don't know. So we have to keep reading, we have to keep researching, so on and so forth. So I said all of that to say this: always do your own homework, always do your own research, and once again, everything is not a distraction. So let's get into this article. This is on USA Today, and I found this on MSN.com, but it's a USA Today article. And it says nearly half of California residents are considering leaving the state, a poll finds. Many cite the cost of living as the main reason why. And California, we know, is, I guess, is one of the richest states, and is one of the most expensive states as well. It says most Californians love living in California, but many are also considering moving to another state. A new statewide poll found 70% of respondents expressed high levels of happiness with living in California and applaud the state for its diversity, but 4 in 10 Californians are considering moving out of the state, with the majority saying it's too expensive to live there. California has had 3 consecutive years of population declines, according to U.S. Census data. Now, not everyone fills out the census, so keep that in mind. But anyway, start the day smarter. Get all the news you need in. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. There's something else. Okay, so the state's culture and diversity have proved to be a very powerful very powerful magnet to keep a lot of people here, even despite the affordability challenges. Said Dan I believe it's Schooner, a communications professor at the University of Southern California and the University of California, Berkeley, who was an advisor on the poll. But as the cost of living continues to be a greater challenge, it's logical to assume that the allure of moving to a more affordable location is going to continue to grow. And with there's so much going on in California right now, with the writer's strike, and shout out to the writers. I stand with the writers. Because I am a writer myself. I do not write scripts, but I am in the process of writing a book. So we'll see how that goes, and it's a long process, but I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that. So it's expensive everywhere, but some states aren't as expensive as California. So I don't know. A lot of people want to move to different states, but I'm here to tell you it may be a little cheaper to live in South Carolina, but sometimes I get frustrated due to the low pay grades here. So if you are an educator, or if you're in the education field, and you work within the education field, then you feel my pain. If you're a teacher assistant, you know where I'm coming from. Some counties pay a little more than others, but yeah. So it was a big letdown, a big disappointment to move from one job to another, and not receive the same pay grade, or to have that same pay grade, or to have that pay grade upped. But anyway, I digress. That was my fault. That was on me. So yeah, it is what it is. And also with California, on USA Today, also found on MSN.com, it talks about failed promises. Black Californians may soon get reparations. What would they be owed? Now, I've heard different stories about this. I've heard some people say that we as Black people Black Americans, we will not get reparations because it's unconstitutional. They want to give reparations in the form of education, so on and so forth. But we really want monetary tangibles. We want monetary reparations. But I don't know. But it says here, the article says reparations could be coming in Black Californians who for Black Californians who are descendants of those enslaved in the United States. The California Reparations Task Force publicly released its final report in Sacramento Thursday with a list of dozen of recommendations for state lawmakers to consider in a plan to compensate eligible African Americans for financial losses brought on by slavery and decades of institutional racism. Um, yeah. I mean, I don't think that that's going to go through, but that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it does, um, kudos to California. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see. We'll definitely keep an eye out for that, and we will definitely um, stay posted up on that. So it would be so nice if all descendants of enslaved um, Africans would be able to uh, receive reparations. But you know, that's not my topic. That's not my subject. That's not my talk. I'm more metaphysical. I'm on the more metaphysical level, scientific level. That's my speed. So, anyway, I told you guys earlier that I would share with you some things that you could do. So just in case you can't get out to the stores, due to CMEs because you know I don't know. I've never lived through a coronal mass ejection. I've never lived through a solar flare eruption. Never seen the auroras, the aurora borealis in person, but I would love to because it's so beautiful and it has such beautiful colors in the sky, and it's caused by the solar flares and all that good stuff. But just in case you can't make it out to the grocery stores, you can't get your food, can't get your hands on food, it's always a good idea to grow gardens. And what I've heard, excuse me, people say, grow your own food, grow your own garden, sweethearts. Yes, I agree. But that's easier said than done. Because, see, I'm the one, I do not have green thumbs. I don't have a green thumb. I would love to try my hand at growing a garden, growing it inside. But, like I said, it's not going to be conducive for everyone. Everyone's not going to be able to do that. So I say, get your hands on some MREs. This is the beef ravioli in meat sauce, and these last up to 10 years. I have some that last up to 30 years. So get you some packs of these. They come in different food servings, different flavors. Also, make sure you have batteries, and I have to purchase some batteries today. And this is quite bright, but this is like my little lantern. So if you don't have electricity, and also with this being hurricane season, so from June to November is hurricane season too. So it's good to have these things on hand. Make sure you have batteries, flashlights. You can get your little lantern. You can have this crank radio, and this radio, it takes and you can get this on Amazon. It takes 3 AAA batteries, and it can keep you abreast of what's going on. It's a weather radio as well. And then I've seen some that have where you can charge your cell phone as well. But if we are in a coronal mass ejection, or if we're experiencing a solar flare, really not sure how this would work or how it would help, but definitely try to get yourselves some walkie-talkies as well. Um, get things that are battery operated or run on batteries. Make sure you have those things on hand. Also, make sure you have your um, firearms on hand too. Make sure you can have those items to protect yourself and protect yourself and your family. That is important as well. So those are just a few items and a few tips that I wanted to share with you all. Thank you so much for listening to me. And hopefully I will be back soon within a few days. Hopefully within a few days, depending upon, how my schedule looks and how things go. I'll be back with more information on how those cables run from under the ground, under the water, for the internet. How the internet gets its power source. Well, I know that water, you can get electricity from water and the power sources and stuff like that and things of that nature. But I need to delve into that a little bit deeper. I need to do my own homework on that, my own research. But thank you so much, guys, for listening to me. I appreciate you all. Subscribers, thank you for stopping by. And for newcomers, if you like what you see, you like my videos, once again, please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.